Fox News alert. As violent crime explodes in Democrat-led cities across the country, 7 law enforcement officers were shot in less than 48 hours. And here in New York City, we are saying goodbye to a cop killed in a terrifying ambush. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno. I'm joined by my co-host, Kaylee McEnany. Also with us, Julie Banderas, former State Department spokeswoman Morgan Ortagus, and in the center virtual seat, Dave Rubin, host of The Rubin Report. Now, this was the chaotic scene in Houston just yesterday. Police engaging in an armed standoff with a suspect. You can hear dozens of gunshots being fired. 3 officers were shot, 1 in the foot, 1 in the leg, and the 3rd in the arm. In Milwaukee, meanwhile, a police officer and sheriff's deputy were shot just 1 day apart. A similar story in St. Louis, where 2 officers were shot during a regular traffic stop. The police chief says one of these cops is in, quote, very critical condition. And in Harris County, Texas, authorities honored Corporal Charles Galloway, who was shot and killed last weekend. We're learning the suspect was in the country illegally. This morning, thousands of grieving NYPD officers flooded the streets for the funeral of their fallen colleague, Jason Rivera. The 22-year-old was killed in an ambush in Harlem last weekend, along with his partner. Rivera's heartbroken brother and widow Dominic had these emotional words. Listen.
My brother had a lot of fears. My brother was afraid of heights. He was afraid of rats. He was afraid of dogs. He was afraid of dogs. But he wasn't afraid to die, to wear that uniform. He was not afraid to die.
I can't believe I'm standing in front of thousands of people in the cathedral we plan to visit later this year. All of this seems so unreal, like I'm having one of those nightmares that you never thought you'd had.
Kaylee, I was out there on 5th Avenue paying my respects and showing my support for fallen officer Jason Rivera, and I have never seen New York City so quiet as the snow was falling and thousands of New Yorkers and these law enforcement officers were honoring the sacrifice that he made, listening to the words that his widow was saying, Dominique. And she said, I was not prepared for this. She said, no one was. And she specifically said, she talked about the day that he got shot and murdered, and she was so vulnerable. She was so open with her pain and sharing every detail that they were in an argument, that she regretted it so much. Her pain was palpable, and I heard the tears of all of those officers around me showing my support, representing all of us there. And Kaylee, it's not stopping. She spoke about how there was fear now, that she felt fear for everyone else. We know that just last year alone, there was a 60% spike in officers that were killed in the line of duty from felonious activity. And generally speaking, the categories were sort of even in terms of how these officers were killed, but there was one category that spiked 300%, Kaylee, and that's ambushes, both unprovoked and premeditated. And that is how Jason Rivera died, along with his partner, Wilbert Mora. Your thoughts, Kaylee, on this epidemic of violence against law enforcement?
Yeah, Emily, I can only imagine the scene you saw there at St. Patrick's Cathedral. You know, I was watching the funeral here in Florida, and there were tears in my household as we watched that widow. I can't imagine, Emily, being there with his fellow officers, hearing their tears, feeling their pain alongside them. What an honor to go and honor this hero, and that is Jason Rivera, 22 years old. I just want everyone watching to put yourselves in the shoes of Dominique Rivera. Last Friday, she gets in the argument, as you mentioned, with her husband. He leaves, and she thinks, I'm sure, she would see him again. That was last Friday. That's what she was doing exactly 7 days ago. Probably never in a million years, thinking just 7 days later, she would be standing in St. Pat's Cathedral giving a eulogy for her husband. Newlyweds. They met in elementary school. They had to be separated by a teacher because they were so distracted just being around one another. This was the love of her life, and he's gone forever. And it's not a statistic, and it's not a number. He is a life that is lost. He is a hero. He is the best among us. And unfortunately, Emily, as you point out, this is happening far too often. Let's be real. There is a war on cops in this country, a war. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm saying that with facts to back it up. When you look in the last 7 days, we have had 13 officers shot. Not all of them killed, but shot. 13 of them. That is roughly an officer being shot every 12 hours across this country. So I'm done with defund the police. I'm done with Alvin Bragg. I'm done with these liberal DAs. We need to stand up and we need to support these officers, because I don't want another widow like Dominique Rivera to lose her husband and have to give another eulogy like that. It is an absolute disgrace, and we've got to speak loudly against this ideology, this toxic ideology that has taken over the national discourse.
That's exactly right. We have a map of those 13 officers that were shot in just the last few days here in those 8 states that we can pull up for you. Julie, to Kaylee's point, so Dominique Rivera, Jason's widow, as she was speaking, she said, "I hope you are hearing me, DA Bragg." And through the streets and through the cathedral, everyone erupted into applause, myself included. Absolutely, I hope that he hears her words, her heartbreaking story, where when she heard 2 cops had been shot in Harlem and she texted her husband and wasn't hearing back from him. "Are you okay, baby? I know you're mad. Just tell me you're okay." Right, we'll talk about the fight later. And then she said she turned on the Find My phone that you can have with your partners, and she saw that his phone was in Harlem Hospital. I cannot imagine her pain. My heart breaks for her. My heart breaks for every law enforcement officer right now, every member of their families, every family member of the fallen. And as Kaylee said, we are done with this. When will this stop, Julie?
When liberal DAs actually put their foot down and stop these reoffenders from going back out on the streets. Kaylee just mentioned the liberal DAs. If you look at the crime rates in this country and you look at the liberal cities that are run by liberal politicians, we're talking New York City, Chicago, Maryland, Los Angeles. I mean, if you look at the number of officers that have been shot and killed, just in January of 2022, we had a map up earlier that showed that Houston shooting, 3 officers were shot in Houston. And the list goes on. In Milwaukee County, a sheriff's deputy was shot off duty in January of 2022. Those are 2 different cases in which 5 cops total were shot in January alone, and that doesn't even include this case here in Harlem. And the reason for it is because these officers are being killed by criminals who are let back out on the streets. These criminals have shot and killed cops that were supposed to be behind bars, and that's the problem. The bail reform laws in this country are awful, and it makes me want to scream from the top of my lungs when I see a funeral and a wife mourning her husband when it could have been prevented. That's the worst part of all. This wasn't just an accident. This was a preventable accident. To hear his brother talk about how he used to be afraid of dogs, but he wasn't afraid to put on his armored vest and his uniform every single day and risk his life. He wanted to unite the community. He wanted to unite the community with police officers, and yet there are still idiots out here in this country that are on a war against cops because they think they're the bad guys. Look again and check the statistics. It's just plain ignorance.
That's absolutely right, Morgan. This is preventable. So, for example, just another example here under DA Bragg's watch, a 16-year-old wannabe rapper charged with shooting an officer walks free. He's free right now. He's on the streets right now because he paid bail. That was bail that he paid from his record deal. 16 years old, and that's who's on the streets. That is why there's a pattern. That is why this is predictable. It's preventable and predictable, and it's heartbreaking, Morgan.
Emily, you remember, I wasn't alive during the Vietnam War, but I remember learning about what the far left did to our military members, our veterans, as they came home from war, right? They didn't ask to go to Vietnam. They didn't ask to fight for our country. But when they came home, we all remember learning about how horrifically they were treated. And unfortunately, we are repeating history in this nation. We are treating cops the way that we treated members of the military who served in the Vietnam War. And it took years, I think, for the country to heal from the disrespect that was placed to the members of the military. I hope that this country has a reckoning. These deaths are horrible. They should have never happened. If there's any good that can come of this, I hope this country starts to look in the mirror and starts to realize that what we have done to the people and the families of these people who put their lives on the line for us every day, it's horrendous. It's just as appalling as what we did to the military during the Vietnam War when we disrespected them. And we have a national reckoning that needs to happen with respect to our institutions, respect to people who wear the uniform. You guys know that I'm a member of the military, and as a reservist, many of the people who drill with me are cops. So this is very personal, I think, for all of us today, and that's why you have the palpable anger. But it takes everyday Americans like all of us here on this panel to say enough is enough.
And Dave, in the infinite idiocy and incompetence out of Hollywood and from the progressive left, we still have calls now from high-profile figures that are calling to defund the police. People like Jack Dorsey, the founder, one of the founders, former CEO of Twitter, whatever he is now, even Rihanna. There are so many people who have large influence over our social culture that are calling for this. They are the ones perpetuating, and it's being backed by our feckless elected officials that won't stand up and support law enforcement. And that is why this tide is so hard to overcome. But it's not going to be overcome unless everything changes, Dave. But until we have that time, we just have calls from the left that are supporting and antagonizing, fomenting this war on law enforcement.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I had an interesting thought just when you started the segment because, you know, you guys played some video of, I think it was the ambush in Milwaukee, and we see violent videos all the time now, right? We see cities burning, we see buildings being destroyed, we see people get shot, we see officers try to stop violence, all of this stuff, to the point where we're so desensitized that you don't really feel much when you see this stuff. However, when you contrast that or you juxtapose that with seeing and listening to Officer Rivera's wife, it's like that's where the real emotion comes from. And this is what the danger is, that the everyday violence like you guys are showing right now, that basically feels like nothing to us. Like, oh, it's just supposed to happen. You live in a big city, and that's the risk you take when you're going to work or going to a restaurant. And we cannot put up with it anymore. And as you guys know, you know, I'm a California, Los Angeles refugee. I just moved here to the free state of Florida. And Los Angeles was getting worse every single day. And why was it getting worse? It was not by accident. It was because the DA, George Gascon, was a far lefty who was the former DA of San Francisco. We all know about San Francisco. He ruined that city, and then he moved down to Los Angeles to start ruining Los Angeles. So these things are not disconnected from the policies. Why is it that it's always happening in Democrat-run cities? Why is it San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, New York? The list goes on and on. But my final thought would be just that the prayers and the thoughts are with the families. I know you all said it, but we cannot get desensitized to what's actually happening.